Saturday evening, just after 5, just about 5:10, and this was our second live session for live stream for the day. I don't know why I call them sessions. I'm just looking up some stuff. Years ago, I read a book called A Complaint-Free World, and there it is. I have it on Amazon right now. It was basically about restraining from complaining. Who knows? Complaints are legitimate. We can make the case that, if you don't complain, things might not go your way. If you don't complain about a hair in your soup, you're stuck with hair in your soup. Doesn't happen to me, by the way. Well, my hair, at least. Our friend Laradox is here. Laradox, how are you? However, a mind that is constantly geared towards complaining, it doesn't just stop at those little things that happen to us. It just keeps complaining and complaining and complaining, and it finds fault with everyone, everything, and everyone. So there's a way of simply recognizing what we're doing. We're engaging, in Buddhism, right talk, right mindfulness. It's laid out. In the Bible, casting judgment at people. IFNHU is here. Hey, buddy, how are you? How's the pup? So, I think I'm going to use a fancy word here. I think it behooves. If Mocha was here, she would definitely have something to say about me saying behoove. Not to so much quit our complaining, quit our whining, but be mindful of it. Our friend Dottie is here. Dottie, how are you? Good evening, Eric, and all here. Nice to see you, all of you guys. Yeah, hey, Dottie, the camera, hold on for 1 second. This was my birthday present from Mocha. My birthday was mid-April, April 17th. She gave it to me a couple weeks early because I was getting frustrated with my cell phone camera, trying to capture what we saw on our walks and my run. So it is a Canon Power Zoom. Look how tiny it is. It's handheld. It has 3 zooms. Well, it has regular, 400, and 800. And man, does it work great. It's what I got the Hawk with. Now, to be fair, I wasn't that far from the Hawk. And the Hawk was the most cooperative subject I could ask for. He literally just flew on a branch feet from us. And if he could talk, he would have said, "Here I am. I'm posing for you." Daddy says, "I'm good. Waiting to see if we get Northern Lights here again." Yeah, we're supposed to actually be able to see them here. If I wake up in the middle of the night, well, I'm up at 2:30, so maybe I'll be able to still see them. FNHU says she's still hobbling around. She's still hobbling around still. I've been making cabinets to help pay for her surgery. Man, that's nice. I have a herniated disc and a bulging disc, so I haven't worked much the past 4 years. So far, so good. Good. I need to check on your GoFundMe. I need to share that again on Facebook and Twitter. I'm having some back issues myself. I hurt my back 1990. I was training for a powerlifting contest. I hurt at deadlifting, and it took me a year to recover. And then I didn't have much problem with it every so often. But then back in October, I heard it doing something stupid, and it hasn't been right since. Daddy says, I had a look online. We'll put that on my Christmas wish list. It's amazing. And all so easy to use. You got the power button up top, and you got the zoom over there. And then on the bottom, you got one for photo, and you got one for video. FNHU says, where are you from, Eric? I was born in Pennsylvania, but I lived most of my life in Maryland, in between Baltimore and DC. Little town called Columbia, which actually was just voted the best city to live in. It's more of a town than a city. The best city to live in the state of Maryland. And it's a beautiful place. It is what it is. The champ is in the chat. Lewis says, what's up, Eric? Hey, how are you? Dottie says, just subbed you, FNHU. Eric Lapointe is here. Awesome. Eric, how are you? Let's see. Lewis says, not sure if you were at my live, just completed 500 Navy SEALs in extra. Wow. Oh man, I'm sorry I missed that. I didn't get a notification. I definitely would have been there. That's awesome. I'm going to be watching it on the replay, that's for sure. I don't know if everyone saw that in the chat, but our friend, it is what it is, the champ, the burpee champ, just did 500 Navy SEALs. How long did that take you, Lewis? Navy SEAL has 3 push-ups per rep. IFNHU says, I'm in Kenosha, best known for the 2020 riots, and Kyle Rittenhouse, sorry. Wisconsin. Wisconsin's a pretty state. You know what? From now on, in my book, in my mind, Kenosha is no longer best known for the 2020 riots or Rittenhouse. It is best known as the home of IFNHU. Which is a much, much better thing to be known for. You a Packers fan? We got a Raiders fan, a rabid Raiders fan in the house here too, in the chat. It is what it is. Oh wow, Eric Lapointe checked it out. Awesome. I'm glad you were there to support. Eric? It is what it is, says, I don't know, I just did it, and I'm gonna shower and probably nap anyway. I think you skipped something. I think somewhere along the line, between a shower and a nap, there's gonna be some type of celebratory meal for sure. You know what? I know you don't usually cheat during your training months, but you might have earned yourself a donut. You might have earned yourself a maple glazed donut. Dottie says, I film my wildlife on my Samsung 23 Ultra. Really good mobile. I have a Samsung Galaxy. It's not too bad. It's got a 10-time zoom on it. Uh, but this one, I absolutely love this. Eric says, or it is what it is. Says Eric, appreciate you. Yep, Eric Lapointe. Definitely puts in the support for his friends. Very much appreciated. Go Pack. Hey, I was a fan of, growing up, one of my favorite books, Instant Replay, Jerry Kramer. His account. He was the pulling guard for the Green Bay Packers. I think 1950, like 57, all the way up until 69 or 70, maybe even further. One tough guy. Got shot in a hunting accident. Actually shot himself in a hunting accident. Didn't miss the game. Him, Fuzzy Thorsten, Bart Starr. Packers of the 60s under Vince Lombardi. Absolutely amazing team. And then, of course, everything shifted in the 70s. Being born outside of Pittsburgh, I had to root for the Steelers. And, of course, Baltimore Colts back in the day. We got a feud going on, Raiders. It is what it is. Says, oh, I'm going to cheat today. You know what? You can rightly make the case when you do 500 Navy SEALs, there's no such thing as cheating. It's fuel for the fire, man. You're simply replacing the carbs that you burned up. You're staying even. Eric says I have to get a better camera also. What are you using, Eric? I've mentioned before. I mentioned quite a bit. It's actually our friend Holgo's favorite quote when I talk about technology, that all technology should easily be kept at least 10 meters away from me at all times, if not farther. This is Eric proof. I can't mess it up. It's exactly what I need. I point and I shoot. I don't need to focus. I either zoom or I don't zoom. Salina says, do you know how to self-massage? And I mean nothing, Lord. Well, strictly no. I use a foam roller, puts pressure on it, and a little lacrosse ball for some points. My ex-wife is a massage therapist, so if things ever get really, really, really bad, Daddy says, I got the Ultra 4-bits 100K zoom. I've took some fab photos of the moon on my Instagram. You put some really great positive messages on your Instagram, Daddy. Eric Point says I just use my phone. Eric Proof sounds good. Yeah, I used my phone up until I got this. And again, it was a gift from Mocha, and she read what I needed perfectly. Dottie says I need to go. Sky looks a little tinged. Could be a rerun of last night that I missed. I bid you all good night. Much love. Much love to you too, my friend. Hey, I really hope you catch the Northern Lights. So yeah, tonight, guys, here, this is the farthest south in some time people have been able to catch the northern lights. We got clouds tonight, so I doubt we're going to see anything. Our friend Runner Boy is here. Runner Boy, how are you? Enjoyed your live session the other day. I actually had it on twice. I had it running when I went out for my walk, and then I put it up for the replay. Runner Boy said, yeah, I seen him last night. Must have been pretty awesome. Sorry, my cat just wandered in. One of my cats. So, yeah, I was talking about an old book I read back in the early 2000s. Runner Boy says, pictures were better than how it actually looked. That's so cool. Huh, interesting. I think it's probably cool just to say, that you've seen them. It's something that's not going to happen again anytime soon that I'm aware of. So I think one of the great things that we can do for ourselves. The book that I'm referring to, and it was probably 2006, 2007 that I read it, A Complaint-Free World. It has to do with our self-talk. How much time and energy we spend in our mind complaining about ourselves, to ourselves, complaining about others, complaining about things around us. We complain about traffic. We complain about service. We complain about, and we don't even notice that it's really complaining. It's one of the gifts of mindfulness, just being aware of what we're thinking. Not necessarily trying to change it right off the bat, but the art of awareness changes everything. Because you know what? When you're aware of your thoughts, when you're aware of your mind, you really get sick of hearing yourself complain. You get sick of hearing yourself gossip, and you get really tired of running other people down. I gotta honestly believe there wouldn't be a single troll on YouTube or social media if people could hear themselves or took the time to hear themselves thinking. Because there's no real thrill. There's no... people say people who come and troll are getting some sort of energy from it, which isn't really true. What they're doing is bypassing their thought system, not paying any attention, and feeling justified in what they do. And that's, I'm not going to say that's good or bad. We could say it's low energy or high energy. We could put it in those terms. But when we start to listen to our thoughts, a couple of things happen. We quickly realize that, hey, if I'm aware of my thoughts, then I can't be my thoughts. That voice in my head isn't me. I'm the awareness to those thoughts. I'm the observer, the witness. Witness is a term most often used in Vedanta and yogic philosophy. Through meditation, you develop that's one of the first steps of meditation, the realization that we're not our thoughts. And then we realize that we're not our body, not exclusively so, which leads to self-inquiry. We start asking, who am I? And it almost becomes that insistent questioning, an insistent self-inquiry. If I'm not my thoughts, if I'm not my body, if I'm not my job, this personality, then who am I? The good news is, just by asking, we begin to discover. And we find that we don't have an answer because who we are is a mystery. This is why the beginning of the Tao Te Ching says the Tao that can be told is not the true Tao. So I've been thinking about that book again. The way he trained himself, his act of mindfulness, he just put a rubber band around his wrist. He had a gimmick. He actually sold a little, I think it was a purple band. And when he would catch himself complaining, he would switch to the other side. And he kept doing that over and over and over again, noticing how many times he had to do that through the course of the day. And that tired him out. Realizing, all I do, I spend the majority of my day complaining about something to other people and to myself. Our friend C. Peyton, Kathy is here. Kathy, how are you? Kathy, are you going to go out and see if you can spot the northern lights? So I'm thinking about buying that book again. Not so much because I find myself complaining. I'm just interested in that avenue of exploring the self-talk that we do. And it really is insidious. Because you can spend the length of meditation sitting, working with a mantra. And after some time, the mind does begin to quiet. And when the mind quiets, you start noticing a lot of the garbage that goes on. Kathy says, doing okay. Glad to hear that. Kitty is here. Kitty, how are you? Kathy says it's getting ready to rain here. I hear thunder. It's going to rain here as well. It's rained here every day for about 2 weeks. That's not a complaint, guys. It's on the verge of a complaint. So, yeah, I would say complaining in and of itself isn't good, isn't bad. It's just, it's mind consuming. Anything we spend that much time on in our mind, without realizing it, I think is an issue. Sadly. I've mentioned before that I'm not huge on self-improvement, which might be an odd thing to say for a guy who works out incessantly and meditates, practice yoga forever. I think all of that has actually helped me come to the point where I dropped the whole self-improvement thing. I also dropped the concept of a self as an entity, as a thing that needs to be improved. I don't think the self in and of itself can be improved. Maybe. But I think what really helps, and I keep mentioning this, is the realization of being the witness, of being awareness itself, of being the noticer, the observer. Because in awareness, this is why Nisargadatta Maharaj said, "In my world, nothing goes wrong," which people found odd from a guy who died painfully of cancer. And I think he actually had cancer, was in great pain when he said that. But in his world, he was coming from being pure awareness. This was a realized master. Nisargadatta Maharaj, who wrote the seminal classic I Am That. And I am, that is the pure awareness. Eric says, I like that saying. Let's look that up. I like it as well. It stuck with me. Even when I didn't exactly understand what he meant. And then through decades of reading and rereading that book and meditation and doing my best to Nisargadatta would always keep saying, you don't have to do anything. There's no self to improve. There's no technique to self-realization. Just always go back to the I am. And we refer to that all the time. I am hungry. I am tired. I am. I am is that which precedes everything we think we are. So we just keep going back to the I am and resting in the I am. That's where Nisargadatta Maharaj was, so that he could easily say, in my world, there are no problems. That doesn't mean that his body wasn't affected, that his thoughts, his mind, that sometimes traffic was a pain in the butt, that sometimes service was slow, that sometimes he was out of money, whatever. Life continues, life happens, life has all of that stuff. But in his world, that I am, nothing ever goes wrong. See if I can find the whole quote. I actually just read it the other night as well. I Am That, probably one of the most difficult books I've ever read and reread and reread and reread. It's just one of those books I keep diving into. But each time I go through it, it's not like it makes sense. It's that intuitively my heart center opens up to it. And I experience it. Get those moments of realization of that I am. So I'll see if I can find that quote. So yeah, I highly recommend having that book. I Am That. Wayne Dyer used to say, you know, there's certain books that you don't even have to read. Just having them with you, just holding them, because of the wisdom within the Bhagavad Gita, the Tao Te Ching, I Am That, the Bible. These are books that you can just experience the vibratory change just having them in your hand. I haven't found it yet. Eric says, I understand it as sometimes you view your own fall can be your gift to a better life or understanding life. You never know the outcome, so just keep on. I like that. And you know what? You could maybe take it one step farther. There's never an outcome, because an outcome means it's finished. What's ever finished in our life? What hasn't led to something else? we never finished being 2 years old. We just went on to being 3. There wasn't an endpoint where, we stepped on a platform and it was officially declared you are no longer 2, you are now 3. That's the illusion of time. That you're 2, that you're 3, that you're whatever. As the witness, you've always been the same. You were the witness the moment you were born, and depending on your views, before so. And you were the witness when you were 6. The same. It was the same awareness. When you refer to that I am, if you really examine it, if you really examine pure awareness, are you different now than you were when you were 6? I'm not saying physically, I'm not even saying mentally, but the awareness. When you were aware of your life at 6 and aware of your life now at whatever age, is there any difference whatsoever? That pure awareness remains the same. And in that world, nothing has ever gone wrong. You were the witness to every tragic event that ever happened to you. You were the witness to every marvelous miracle that ever happened to you. You'll always be the witness. Quite possibly, you'll be the witness of your death, and you'll certainly be the witness of your death, but you'll be the witness that continues after that death. Oh, I might actually go get the book. I got 2 copies of it. Let's get the book. I think it's easier. Here's one quote, though, online. Past and future are only in the mind, or in the mind only. I am now. And one more. Give up all ideas about yourself and simply be. That's a message that we also get from our friend Destiny Forever Walks PhD. Give me 1 second, guys. I am that. Nisargata Maharaj. I've had this book forever. Here it is. Page 18. It starts with a question. This is a book of dialogue. The questioner asks him, is your world full of things and people, as is mine? And his answer was, no, it's full of myself. And the questions continued, but do you see and hear as we do? And the answer was, yes, I appear to hear and see and talk and act. But to me, it just happens. As to you, digestion or perspiration happens. The body-mind machine looks after it, but leaves me out of it. Just as you do not need to worry about growing hair. Well, some of us do. So I need not worry about words and actions. They just happen and leave me unconcerned, for in my world, nothing ever goes wrong. I'll read a few more from the book. There's one in particular that I want to get to. Um, Here he's talking about emotional reactions. Emotional reactions born of ignorance or inadvertence are never justified. Seek a clear mind and a clean heart. All you need is to keep quietly alert, inquiring into your real nature of yourself. That is the only way to peace. So, just one more quote here, if I can find it. I don't want to bore you guys. Highly recommend his book, uh, as well as um, I blanked out there for a second, guys. Not me personally, my phone. Bear with me. There it is. This is one of my all-time favorite quotes ever. The mind creates the abyss. The heart crosses it. That's the journey from mind to heart. The mind creates the abyss, meaning the mind creates all of the issues in our life. One of his Nisargadatta Maharaj's students, Srila Bob Admonson, who is actually a Facebook friend, and some of his students have helped me in quite a few ways, have been teachers to me, instructors maybe. And he wrote a book called What's Wrong with Right Now If You Don't Think About It. Virtually all of our problems consist of thoughts. What if we didn't have those thoughts? Or what if we didn't dwell on those thoughts? Or what if we were the witness to those thoughts? Then we would be like Nisargadatta Maharaj, and we would say, in my world, this awareness, there are no problems. Doesn't mean that the body-mind doesn't have some issues. It certainly does. But in that pure awareness that we can relate to more and more and more and more, everything's fine. And it's also a great place to deal from that place of pure intuition, pure energy, pure awareness, pure unconditional love. We can approach, in that intuitive sense, all of those mind-body issues in a more loving and easy manner, because it doesn't have the judgment. We don't become harsh with ourselves. How often have we done something we wish we hadn't, or even something inconsequential where we say, I'm so stupid, I shouldn't have done that. That kind of self-talk. That goes back to what I was saying about complaints. That's a self-complaint. Literally putting ourselves down. Why? It's not even our voice that's doing it. It's the past judgments of 1,000 other people in our lives that have told us things like that. I always refer back to, that time when we're joyfully coloring in a coloring book, and a well-meaning teacher will come up and say, stay in the lines, or the grass shouldn't be brown, the ocean shouldn't be red. We're given rules, and then we're expected to live by them. But hey, you know what? We're adults now. You can have several cookies before dinner if you want to. You can open up a coloring book and ignore the lines, and the ocean can be whatever color is in your crayon box. Entirely up to you. So the mind creates the mess. The heart crosses it. Stay in that heart center. Stay in that state of beingness that is ever present. You don't need to find it. You just need to realize it because it's always there. When you ask yourself that question, who am I? That all-important question of self-inquiry, the answer is the silence. Because you've run out. There's a Vedic method of meditation called neti neti. And neti literally means not this, not this. So the neti neti meditation, simply observe. Look at your foot. Am I a foot? Obviously not. So not this. Am I this camera that I'm looking at? I can see my face over here. Is that me? Not this. If I look in this direction, this is Douglas Harding and the Headless Way, a beautiful teaching and an instant method of self-realization. Looking in this direction, I don't see a face. I don't see a head. Looking this way, I'm not looking at the fingers pointing. I'm literally looking in this direction. I don't see anything. I see rims of glasses. I recently trimmed my mustache and beard, so I don't even see that. I see a tip of a nose. But here, I see emptiness. But it's an amazing emptiness because it contains this entire room. If I stepped outside, it would contain everything in the sky. That is the Zen of instant seeing. Eric LaPointe says, it's only good to think of something we did wrong once and learn from it. Otherwise, it's just a waste of thought. You could use for other things. I agree. Definitely a waste of energy to continuously dwell on it. I'm trying to think of a good example. If we correct ourselves and we truly get that message, do we have to keep correcting ourselves? As Eric said, if you learn that lesson, no sense to keep repeating it or keep reminding yourself of it over and over and over again. A lot of times we think, well, I need to keep reminding myself to keep it from ever happening again. Has that ever worked? Look at history. I forget who it was that said, in the history of warfare, it's never worked. Otherwise, it would only need to be done once. And all of us would say, well, we don't ever want that to happen again. You would think World War I, the war to end all wars, until World War II. And then all the little wars in the Cold War. There's often talk right now in the U.S. of a potential civil war. What did we learn the first time around? When has violence ever solved any problem? That doesn't mean, in the Bhagavad Gita, they talk about doing your duty. That doesn't mean not standing up for a principle, not defending yourself, not defending others, but a war of choice against your own countrymen for political points that mean, in the end, absolutely nothing at all. Not to get political. I don't think that was political. I looked into, after a conversation with our friends Night Watcher and Flower, I looked into Mr. Beast, who is, I guess, the top of the line YouTuber. And he's given tons, helped a lot of people. he talked about, I just saw a brief interview with him, and not putting his political views out there, because then it would alienate some people who come to watch him talk, and that would cause him to lose revenue, which he uses to, he's built hospitals and he's built houses for people. He's aided people uh, with medical issues. So for him, what he does is to earn money so he can help people. If he were to alienate people, he would make less money on YouTube. Um, I don't know if I have to worry about that, but at the same time, um, I'll often have people come in and say, "Are you liberal? Are you conservative? Are you this or that?" None of that is me. I'm not liberal. I'm not conservative. That's just labels, things. I'm not a label. So if someone comes in here and says, "Hey, I'm a conservative," I really want to say, "No, you have conservative views, but you yourself are a human being. You're a person. You're a beingness of unconditional love. That relates to a conservative view, and that's absolutely fine. And it would be absolutely fine if you related to a liberal point of view." Eric says, yes, no one wins in a war. Imagine if we all related to each other as that, as not as labels, um, but as literally as fellow beings, literally as appearances of one energy, separate appearances of one energy, or seemingly separate appearances of one energy. Just as I finished saying that, I'm hearing a woodpecker outside my window, and I'm awful tempted to run outside with my camera. But I know by the time I do, woodpeckers never stay still. By the time I put on shoes and run out there, um, the woodpecker will be laughing at me from across the street. If it was an owl, I might do it. I told Mocha the other day, we heard an owl in the daytime, and I said, I gotta go look. When they call, you gotta respond. You gotta go at least look for him. And then yesterday, we heard him again, and I was tempted not to look. And Mocha said, nope, you said when they call, you have to respond. If you don't, maybe there'll come a time when they no longer call you. So when nature gives you those clear signals, you respond. And of course, I'm saying that, and I keep thinking about that woodpecker outside. That's the shamanic lineage showing itself. I love that. The means of shamanism, where we literally relearn the message of the universe, the message of nature, constantly in dialogue. That's the beautiful thing about doing the nature shorts, is the realization of being that dialogue, of being there. And I get that same sense, Eric, through conversations with you and looking at your shorts, that your YouTube shorts, that you have that closeness to nature, that you're part of the conversation. And it's a beautiful conversation to be part of, that's for sure. I just pulled your channel up right here. And I see you got two new ones. Some awesome sheep. And a goat. I'm a big fan of goats. As a matter of fact, I got, it's so hard to see. Pan, the Greek Mesopotamian god, half man, half goat, god of fertility in wild places. Eric says, yes, it is. Whose sheep and goat is that, Eric? You gotten some nice views on many of your shorts. That's awesome. Just want to leave a comment. Yeah, I can't tell what that is, what kind of duck that is. I wrote again about ducks just the other day. They just always seem so vulnerable. And yet they're perfectly attuned. The first study of predatory sleep, predatory awareness. I'm going to have to look that up. Eric says, I've had that goat for 8 years. They're all mine. That's my backyard. That's amazing. So yeah, the ducks actually sleep with one eye open and one eye closed, and it shuts down one half of the brain hemisphere while the other half gets rest. So that way they stay alert. Ducks are flightless after they mate. They molt, they lose some feathers. Same with geese. But man, nobody wants to mess with a goose. That's for sure. Ducks are definitely more vulnerable. Eric says it may be a female mallard. You know, the male mallards only stay that color partially through the year, and then they grow to resemble the drakes, the female, a little bit more. It's during the mating when they get those bright colors. I would have to read maybe tomorrow morning my duck essay or lyrical prose. One of my favorite things is writing about nature, because again, it's not really my writing. It's more of that dialogue where something inspires me or something grabs me, and then I do my best to get quiet. I do my best to let go of my opinion of what happened, and then simply ask what it is that whatever it is that was witnessed would like me to convey. If I'm inspired by a duck, I don't want to write my opinion about a duck. I want to write a perspective about ducks. I want to write things from if a duck could speak through me, what would it want me to say? Hey, I just met Kathy Payton on your duck video. She's one step ahead of me. Kathy, that was awful nice of you. That's awesome. I absolutely love the connections that we get to make. You know, I mentioned before, just a small channel, but when I see things like that, you realize through the largeness of the internets, of YouTubes, those connections really matter. Kathy says, I left your comment on TV Shorts. I just saw your comment on the ducks. I got to tell you, right now, few things make me as happy as you posting these nature shorts, Eric. I'm just so happy that you feel inspired to share the beautiful portion of your world. Kathy, is it still windy where you are? I know you said you're hearing some thunder, but hopefully you'll have the opportunity. You said you've been wanting to do a ghost tour. That would be awesome. I'm just going to give a quick look to see if our friend Noble is live. He isn't. I see that Ivy is live. So I'm going to have her up and running for some watch hours. I mentioned before, man, those watch hours are all important. And I mentioned where mine are right now. I'll mention close. I was talking to Mocha about it today. See, Kathy says, I love meeting new people and connecting. And man, we certainly do get some meaningful connections, don't we? That's just so awesome when you consider, you know, again, the vastness of the internet. And then just what brings people to one spot. How did I get so fortunate to have Kathy, Eric LaPointe, just show up almost randomly on a live stream? I know I met Kathy on Mayhem and Miracles. Eric just materialized out of the ethers. Same with Squirrel Sniper. Same with Flower, for that matter. Imagine Flower, young girl from Myanmar. She'd probably correct me saying that if she heard me say that. Who saw, as she said, an old yogi talking about weird stuff. And she decided to listen. And she's showed up every single day since. Eric says, well, you have inspired me, Eric, and I'm grateful for that. Oh, man, I appreciate hearing that. That makes everything about having a YouTube channel worthwhile. That is literally all I want my channel to be about. Just, I keep reiterating that everyone's an artist. Eric Point says her live yesterday was very entertaining. Ivy's? Let's see. Kathy said she posted a short, a little windy, but it's about to rain. And I'm on it. I'm right here, May 11th. Man, what a beautiful cat. Um, that's not, is that a Maine Coon? Beautiful cat. And what a beautiful garden spot. Kathy says I may do a live with my dolls instead. Hey, that would be cool. I'd definitely love to see that. So sometimes people, will hear me say everyone's an artist. And they might think that I'm saying everyone's a Picasso or a Van Gogh or a Monet, which is what I'm saying. I'm also saying that that they're not. What I am saying is we are creators, and we are at our happiest when we're participating in that creativity. And to deny ourselves that pleasure, it's denying our humanness. From the days of cave paintings, we found ways to be expressive, but we give it up. It should really be part of everyone's spiritual practice. Spend some time. My one of my non-negotiables, once a day. Doesn't have to be something that I post, but once a day, I'm going to discover something from my own unique perspective and angle to film. And honestly, once you make that vow, you don't even need to film it anymore, because now your attention is wide open. You're becoming laser focused on those things. Like today I posted, I actually filmed it 2 days ago, that little the little bird, sparrow, wrestling with that huge feather. It was a goose feather. Man, I would have hated to miss that. To just walk by and shrug my shoulders and say, curious, whatever. But instead, when you train yourself with the camera, then even when you don't have the camera, you start noticing all those miracles in life. Kathy says, I don't know. I know she's a tortoiseshell. Beautiful cat. Fluffy. I have it up and running. Kathy said I got out there, planted stuff today. We talk an awful lot about gardening here. We've got some great gardening friends. Kay Renee, the great gardener himself, Odom's Homestead, micro farmer. Kathy said that cat used to be real nasty. When she first moved here, she was feral, but now she loves attention. Awesome. A little bit of love goes a long way. Once cats realize that, hey, you're a friend. Both my cats are adopted. They were 10 years old when I got them. They're just turned 12, I believe. Eric says I left a comment on that bird, but I don't think it went. Yeah, I didn't see that. Don't think it went. Thought I said that looks like me moving furniture. Hey, but you gotta give it credit. It was persistent. It kept trying. There was 2 of them, both with a feather. and I got both of them. I'll post the other at a later time. And then, of course, I really thought if I ever had anything go viral, this one would be it. Um, I mentioned before that cormorants are, I think, the only water bird whose wings aren't waterproof. So when they dive in the water hunting, they need to dry their wings out. So if you watch them, they'll be sitting very stoic. And this was in the rain, and the cormorant was very stoic, and it started to twitch. And I thought it's going to put its wings out to try to dry them off. It's going to be a great shot. And what it did was bend over and take a crap right on camera. White poop shot out of her butt. And I got it all. And I thought, what are the odds of, filming something and they just decide to, knock it out of their system? Didn't do as well as I thought it would. It didn't too bad. But, for me, it was a pretty hilarious. I love those odd moments. Artificial intelligence says, where's that guy with a long name? That would be just a night watcher doing burpees in his bedroom. Who, by the way, not to speak ill of someone who isn't here, he has yet to do a burpee in his bedroom to earn that name. And I keep telling him, it only takes one. Yeah, only have to, well, no, you got to do two. Otherwise, he'd have to change his name to just a night watcher doing a burpee in his bedroom. And that doesn't have the same flow. It also adds an extra letter. He wasn't feeling, he was here this afternoon, he wasn't feeling well. He was here this morning, too. Had a fever, and he's got an exam tomorrow. Eric says, yes, that comes up natural. Yeah, just those beautiful little connections that we get to make. Being out in nature and just opening up to whatever is there to be experienced. Kathy says I have good connection with animals usually. I could see that. I think it's probably because you're attuned to energy because of what you do. So, animals sense that energetic presence. Artificial intelligence, how are you? And you never know. Just tonight, watch, it might pop in. But we're going to talk maybe 10, 15 more minutes. See how it goes. Saturdays, you just never know who might show up. It's either one of those nights where the chat takes off or it's relatively quiet. I like both, to be honest with you. A lot of times, it flows very nicely when there's lots and lots of people. But these quieter times, when you really sink into the conversation with good friends like Kathy and like Eric, are really, really meaningful. I try, Kathy, whenever I film anything, I try to offer just a little silent blessing and a thank you. Sometimes the thank you is out loud, which if other people are out walking the dog, give me strange looks, which I'm used to. I've gotten strange looks my entire life. But, hey, why not thank something, and why not thank it out loud? Why not have them pick up on those verbal vibrations? Eric Point says, Eric, I saw a pic of you in your younger years. You were a WWF superstar. Yeah, I was. I know the picture you're referring to. I was about 220 pounds, long blonde hair, bigger beard. Um, I was powerlifting at the time, not very successfully. I put on a lot of weight so I could bench over 300 pounds, and realized that the heavier I got, the more I could bench, but it still wasn't a great bench. And as a matter of fact, it got less great in proportion to my weight. And I was putting my health at a risk being that heavy. Although when you're young, you take those chances. You shouldn't, but you do. Or I did, at least. That was about my biggest. Definitely not my best shape, but definitely my biggest. I always tell people who don't see a photo, and they'll say, so how do you look at 220? And I say, I look really, really good in a sweatshirt. In a sweatshirt, you could hide your one ab. It wasn't too long after that, in a very short period of time, I started competing in judo, not very successfully, and I went down to 190 pounds to do a tournament. And I didn't do very well in the tournament, and my coach suggested I get even lighter. And from, I guess it was September to February, I went down from 190 something to 151 pounds to do the tournament. So yeah, I've been able to change my body quite significantly from sport to sport, the things that I've participated in. Unfortunately, when I started doing ultra running, I lost quite a bit of muscle, purposely so, because even muscle, if you're doing a 50K, a 50 miler, a 100 miler, you don't want to carry too much weight. I didn't want to carry too much weight. And what I loved about ultra running, unlike powerlifting or other stuff, it was sort of a self-fulfilling. You didn't care how long it took you. I didn't care how long it took me to run 100 miles. I was just happy to run 100 miles. And I actually didn't finish more 100-mile races than I did finish. I think I might have attempted 800-mile races, and I only finished 2 of them. But each of those other hundreds was like 60 miles in when I had to drop, or 70. I think one was 80. And in no way can you complain about spending 80 miles in the woods. I always thought of that. It was just a long day in the woods. Eric says, as a kid, I would have been looking at you in amazement. Fighting is tough on the body. I've been there. Yeah, and you take some bumps in judo, that's for sure. Kathy says, I think a lot of people have done that at one time or another. Eric? Kathy will be right back. So, yep, I got Ivy up and running. Hey, Eric, are you gonna check? Are you gonna look and see if you're gonna be able to see the Northern Lights tonight? Eric says I was a runner in my younger years also. Nothing over 4 miles though. Um, I wanted to try for longer. My fastest of all time was a 4.46 mile. Wow, that's pretty fast. Man, honestly, anything under 5 minute miles is pretty awesome. Eric says I saw the Northern Lights last night. It was amazing. I missed them, unfortunately. I think Mocha's going to be out looking at them tonight. She finished her last year of high school in Alaska, so she saw them on a pretty regular basis. Our friend Dagmar is doing a live as well, so I'm going to have her up for a few minutes. Always good lending your friends some watch hours. Eric says I bet they were way better up there. Yeah, I would imagine so. I went up there with her, visiting her mom. It's a long time ago, 20 years ago, I think. Amazing. I also went to Banff Park in Alberta, outside of Calgary, and that was really amazing, right in the Canadian Rocky Mountains. I think one of my two favorite shorts that I've recently done, the goose standing on one leg in a puddle. I don't know why that. I just thought that was awesome. And then your explanation of why they do that was pretty cool. Kathy is back. Kathy, just to let you know, Dagmar is live as well. So I'll be probably saying goodnight in just a few minutes. Eric says, I'm glad that went through. Yeah, that was interesting. Interesting to hear. I didn't know that. So, all right, guys. I think we'll call it a night. Again, it was a quiet conversation, but a good one. I enjoyed it. Eric says yes. Me also. Good night to everyone. Um, Eric, Kathy, thanks for coming. Thanks for keeping me company. I appreciate it. artificial intelligence. Thanks for coming in and saying hi. Hopefully next time, Just the Night Watcher will be here. Runner Boy was in for a bit. Always nice. Laradox was here for just a few minutes. Our friend IFNHU was here as well. So, guys, thanks again. I'll see everyone tomorrow. We'll be back. Regular time.